Hello and welcome. My name is JodieLynn Craven, founder of Abundance Consciousness, and this is my dear friend, Heather Marie.
Hi, I'm Heather Marie, founder of Soulgate, and welcome to Channel Squared, where we have extraordinary conversations about everyday life topics.
Yes, we do. And today we're talking about how to find peace amidst the chaos. So if you're looking at the world and everything that's going on right now and you're feeling it really difficult not to get sucked into negativity or not to get sucked into the drama triangle that is the world, we're going to talk about all of that today.
Yeah. And, I think that there's plenty of that going on. It's sort of funny when we were talking about this topic. This was before some of this freedom things that have been going on around the world. So, even that is chaos. So even though, there may be listeners that are, gung ho, yes, let's go. And there are going to be some that are like, no, wait, most of our listeners probably be gung ho, but for those that aren't, it's still a bit of that like chaotic, frenetic energy. And sometimes it's like, even though it's like, we're all like, woohoo, we're building up the momentum. It's good to have that way to find peace inside that. So I think this is a great one, Jodie.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing. So we're going to talk about like tips and strategies and whatever. And I love how you said that there's a lot going on. There's been a lot going on. And I think the most common question that people ask me is this, how do you actually let it go? So let's dive in.
Okay. So if I were going to answer that question, I would say that the first thing I would ask myself is, how does this apply to me? Because, even though there's a lot going on, it's only going on in your world if you invite it in.
Okay. I'm going to be, the other side advocate. Like, what does that mean? Like, can you give me an example? Like the pandemic is happening to everyone and there's all of this crazy stuff. Like it is happening to me. Is it not?
Well, sure. But the thing is how are you consuming it? Right. So if you turned off the TV, you stopped looking at the internet, you got off social media, the only time you would probably encounter pandemic related shit would be if you were going someplace and it was like, where's your mask? Have you been jabbed? Like give us your credentials to enter our establishment. But really inside of your little bubble, right? Mm-hmm. The people you surround yourself with are probably somewhat like thinkers. I think most people now have kind of like chosen which way they're going to go, or, they have similar thinking people in their experience. Some people have family members that don't agree, but for the most part, I think people have kind of gravitated to those who are thinking the way that they are. Mm-hmm. So if you really look at your overall environment, where are you allowing it to come into your life? Now, you are in Canada, who has seen some crazy stuff go down. We are here in California, and we've seen crazy stuff go down. And so I'd say that, we're in two really good places to kind of speak on this topic of the chaos with like the pandemic specifically. And that is that I don't know about you, but my life, while yes, a lot of things have changed, my day-to-day, I'm not really being limited because I don't allow those limitations really to come in. Mm-hmm. When I start hearing stuff that I'm like, that just doesn't vibe with me, I'm just like, turn it off. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like if that's the answer, that's the right answer, but don't you think that like, yeah. You can kind of control it.
Yeah, I think that that's a beautiful answer. Number one, what are you consuming, right? What are you taking in? If you want to like be more explicit in terms of that, It could even be like, what am I consuming that's bothering me? Or even just that question of like, what's bothering me right now? Because there's a lot of things that can be chaotic, a fair, like a football game, like all of these things can potentially
Disneyland.
Disneyland could be chaotic and also exciting and joyous and, whatever, right? Somebody could be having a completely different experience because they hate the chaos of people or whatever it is, versus someone who thrives on that, loves the energy of being in rooms like that. So what I would ask the question of what is it about the chaos that's bothering you, and why? Why is it bothering you? And they sound like retarded questions. So simple. Well, the world is in a pandemic, and why does that bother you? Because it's not right. Okay, that is surface level stuff. Okay, so like, what about the pandemic? What about the injustice? Like, what about it is really bothering you, is making you feel worried or frustrated or angry or whatever it is? Like, really identifying what that fear is, or whatever the feeling is, where is it coming from? Why do you feel it? Because often we link it back to a perception. The perception is, well, now I'm going to be limited in my daily life. Well, you just said it yourself. And I can attest to that as well. I haven't felt limited. The things that I have wanted to do, I've found a way to do them. I haven't traveled outside of the country. I haven't tried that one yet. For reasons, but I have traveled around Alberta. I've gone and stayed at a hotel. I've gone to restaurants. But before I was stuck in this mindset of I'm limited on what I can do. But when I let that go and I stopped focusing on that, I started to see things open up for me, going to the store and, not wearing a mask because I have an exemption, or things like that. Like, things began to change when I changed the way that I was looking at it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're currently under mask mandate here right now, and in California, not everywhere else in the United States, but in California, we are doing the mask thing again, and I just don't wear it. Like, I just don't wear it. I will intentionally, and this probably drives my husband completely mad, but I'll take it with me. I'll have it in my pocket just in case, because but the reality is like, I'm going to wait for somebody to actually say something to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I get it about like the small businesses, right? The small businesses, they just want to be open, man. Like, they are like struggling to hang on, to rebuild. Like, I get it. Like, with them, I don't really push to the envelope all that much, because I'm like, yo, I'm a small business owner. I know what that's like. And, I certainly feel your pain, and I'll wear the stupid mask because it's you. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you've got these, like, big moves to try to, minimize people's experiences, that's where it's kind of like I draw the line,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't wear it.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of those people that are in those experiences, though, like the small business owners. There's a lot of companies here in Canada that have handed down vaccine mandates, and you can't work for them if you're not vaccinated. You can't go here or there, or whatever. Speaking of the Freedom Convoy, that's how all of this started. The truckers were being mandated to have that, the cookie. I don't remember what we called it, the banana shot, before they went across the border, and US truckers to come in were required to have that as of January 15th. And that's where they drew the line and said enough is enough. But the reality is that there is some people who are not working right now that, have lost their jobs. My husband being one of them. For the better part of the last 2 years, he's been off work. Maybe out of the last 2 years, 3-4 months he's worked.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that, he's been unemployed. Now it's a little bit more difficult to find peace, but not impossible. I want to talk about that. Like if you're in that situation where your life has changed because of some of these things, the chaos that is happening, and it's right in your face. What do you recommend?
Again, like going back to looking at how it applies to you. Okay. The mind is so clever, right? The mind will take something this small and make it this big, right? And so, when you're sitting in the muck, okay, you're in this funky pool of crap where your life has literally been ripped out from under you. Okay. Take a moment and say, okay, how much of this am I willing to give to myself? Like, what am I willing to give up of me to satisfy these shenanigans of how this is appearing, this perception I'm having of it in my life? Because when you give yourself over to the perception of the world is caving in and my world is completely upside down, right? You're giving it power. You're relinquishing your power to it. And
That's
so the mind will be like, oh, hey, I got her. Okay. But the reality is that you can look at it and go, all right, everything's falling apart. My life is in shambles. Oh, there's a butterfly. How nice. You see what I'm saying? Like it's this shift of like, okay, it's here. Yeah. This is the experience. I see how this experience is occurring to me. What can I do right now to make this experience not be this anymore? Like what other things do I have in my life that are going good for me? And I'm not saying to ignore it. Like if you lost your job and you can't pay your bills, I'm not saying go hide under your blanket and it's all going to go away, because that's definitely not going to happen. Yeah. But you can look at it and go, okay, I lost my job. I don't know if I'm ever going to get employed again. I got bills to pay. I got kids to feed. I got all this stuff going on. But hey, I got a roof over my head right now. I've got food in my refrigerator right now. I've got healthy kids right now. And we're doing okay right now. Yeah. Even though it's all falling apart, I've got everything I need right now. And as you move through the days, you'll start seeing more and more things to be grateful for.
Yeah. I want to expand on some of the things that you're saying, because I think it's so awesome. Really evaluating how you perceive the situation. That's huge. I mean, for me, when my husband was off for the first probably like 6 months, it was like, no big deal, whatever, I don't know, from March until September of 2020. It was like, it was like nothing really changed except for he's home. And I mean, I had to shift from working at home, and now he's here and, whatever, but then focusing on these beautiful things. He's around more often. I get to be outside with him. We have a market garden business. So like all of these things were really beautiful. And then I noticed my brain take over, and I could see that I was developing certain perceptions, like it's going to be tight. We're gonna run out of money. This is gonna be hard. This like whatever it was, all of this stuff was really like button up against me hard. And I took a moment to just let it all out. What am I afraid of? Like actually confront the fear. What am I afraid is going to happen? I always call it bottom line or worst case scenario. What is the worst case scenario here? And then put it all on the paper and evaluate and understand that this is my perception. And my perception can change. So I always ask this question of, is there another way to see it? So instead of falling apart, what if it's giving an opportunity to find anew, to follow your dreams, to have the space that you need to do something else, right? My dog even agrees with me.
Perfect timing. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, it seems like sometimes when everything is falling apart, things are falling together. So, for an example, we are going to move. We're going to move for multiple reasons. One, we are not really into the governmental situation in our state. We're kind of done with that. Second thing,
Yes.
it's financially, it's very expensive to be here. And thirdly, the housing market here is crazy as it is everywhere. But here it's a next level crazy because it's already was very expensive, right? So we're looking to buy a home. We want to start a family and that sort of thing. So when we first started looking at moving out of the area, we were looking into Colorado. Beautiful place, lots of mountains. We could have all 4 seasons. Like, woohoo, sounds great. And we very quickly got priced out of our budget there. So at the time that this was happening, my little negative Nelly brain was, making up all these reasons about how everything's going to fall apart. Life is over. Like, where are we going to go? We're going to be broke and living in a box. And this is just the end of the world, right? The sky is falling. And all of a sudden, something popped into my head and I was like, what about Texas? So I started asking Victoria. Victoria's like, come to Texas. So I started thinking about Texas, and I had a former client who lives in Texas, and I talked with her, and she gave me a lot of really useful information. And now we are going out to Texas to check out Texas. And as this has happened, things have fallen into place so easily. And there's a lot of opportunity for what we're looking for. And so there's a lot of stuff that when we changed the way that we were experiencing it, we saw that we were being guided somewhere else because we were going to end up in an environment that felt very much the same. And that's what we're looking for, is something different, something new.
Something new, something different. And I love this explanation that you're giving, or this example that you're giving, because it's so relevant. It would have been so easy to go down the rabbit hole of, it's not working and we're not going to have a place to live and and like, all of these things. And I'm sure that you did a little bit. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
we're human. We're human.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big part of the conversation that I think is impactful today is that part that it's okay to get stuck. I said this to this gentleman last week. He was talking about being stuck and feeling like he was really stuck in where he is in life, and kind of having not a pity party, but he was frustrated with this and this and this and this. And I said, I have a new perspective for you. Like, I have another perspective. Are you ready to hear it? And I could feel his energy. He wasn't done being frustrated. He wasn't done being mad. So I said that too. Are you done being mad? Like, are you ready to move? And it sounds kind of retarded. Like, of course I don't want to feel this. Of course I want to, move on to the positive, whatever. But this is the step that most people miss, that I teach my students religiously, is like, you have to be ready to move. If you're not ready to move, if you want to be mad, because sometimes you just want to be mad, then you got to sit with it. You got to be mad, punch a pillow, yell, scream, cry, whatever. Whenever Heather and I are talking, that's a question that we ask one another. Are you ready to move from this state that you're in to the next? Because if you're not ready, then it's like trying to stop. I think Abraham Hicks always says it. It's trying to stop like a speeding train that's heading in one direction. Like, you're not going to, especially if you want to be pissed off about it, which it's okay. Put a bubble around yourself and feel it. I want to be mad right now, and I'm going to spend the next hour, 3 hours a day. I promise you You won't sit in that forever. You will eventually be like, okay, I've had enough. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to see, like, I've had my little pity party or whatever, but like, you need to have the tantrum and just get it over with. Whatever that looks like for you, feel the feelings. And then you'll feel inside of you, or this is how it feels to me. It's like this soft shift where it's not hard to start seeing a new perspective, seeing a new possibility, seeing the positives. You know, it starts to happen more organically, more naturally, because I'm ready for it. Whereas when I'm in this state of like, I want to choke somebody because I'm so mad, it's way harder to get there. And I always talk about how you get all of that stuff stuck when you try and ignore it. So just feel it and then start moving.
Well, and I think that that is so important. You bring up something that, in the moment, you were someone that you were the one I reached out to and was like, oh my God, this guy is falling, and just talking to you about our specific situation, I was really in this place of like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And, it was just like the rug had been pulled out from under us. And in that moment, you were so kind to say, are you ready to come up with some possibilities? Like, are you ready to look at the possibilities? And I sat there for a minute and I was like, no, I am not. I need to have my fit, And then as, we were talking through the conversation, it didn't take long and we were then having the possibilities conversation. And so that would be my second thing, would be have somebody who you can have conversations with about it. Someone who's not attached to the situation. I know that there are times when, you're going through something with your husband. Okay. And this was something that I was going through with my husband. And, I told him, and he was in the same wheelbarrow of funk that I was in. And so we weren't really that much help to one another, and it was being able to have you to reach out to go, oh my gosh, this is what happened, reach out to Jackie, oh my gosh, this is what happened. And between the two of you, you guys talked me off the ledge and helped me get my head screwed on straight, because my head had us living in a box or a tent under the freeway next week. So, that would be another suggestion is, talk to people that are not like intimately involved in what you're going through. Someone can have a difference of perspective. They're not, it's hard to see the picture when you're standing inside the frame, and they're definitely not inside the frame. So they can kind of help you and direct you, maybe.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to have that net to catch you. And I know, you and I are very similar as individuals, where we don't really lean on people. Whether that's probably a learned behavior from childhood. I know it is for me. I can't speak for you, but if you're in that scenario where you haven't really learned to lean on other people, like for me, that was something that was really hard. I had this belief system so ingrained that I had to do it all on my own to prove that I was good enough, to prove that I was smart enough, prove that I was capable, that I was able to handle it. And it doesn't mean any of that when you do it on your own, by the way. But I had to take that in phases. I paid for a coach to be that person that I relied on, because I could get behind that, paying somebody to show up for me. Okay, that's easy. And then, having a friend circle and showing, like, not showing up when I needed to, but leaning, like testing the water, dipping a toe, like, can this person handle it? And I can't remember if we were talking on our live last week when I was talking about that guy I was dating a long time ago, and he couldn't handle it. Like he couldn't handle just holding the bucket for me. That was last week. Right. And some people can't. And that's okay. That's okay. But it doesn't mean that you won't find the next person. You just have to be willing to look for that person and then ask them, can you hold some space for me? And then you get to be, like besties with with someone like you, Heather. I have you as a best friend, so I don't need to ask permission anymore. I'm just like, bleh. And you do the same to me, because that's the relationship that we have now. But it took time. So if you're not used to relying on someone else or leaning on someone else, start finding ways that you can, that's not so shocking to your system to lean on someone else. Like, because when you have this belief system, especially that people don't show up for you, or that they think about you last, or all of these stupid things that come into our mind. Trust me, I've been there before. Like, nobody notices me, nobody cares about me, and I'm always last, and nobody likes me. These were things that I firmly believed. And then in my experience, my friendships were distorted with that angle where I would have people that wouldn't show up. So starting to reframe that for yourself and finding people who do show up for you, because there is people that are showing up. Like, we're showing up right now. We might not be having the conversation face to face with you right now, but you're here in our container, in our space, held by our energy. And we're doing this simply to help support you. So it's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Well, let's say hi to some people that we have here today.
Yeah.
Who is on? We've got Kat, we've got Victoria, we've got
leaning on someone.
We've
Quinn.
got Quinn. Hi, everybody. We probably have
Hi.
some who are not saying hi. Hello to you, mystery men or women on the other side.
Yes.
If you guys have any questions about this topic, please just drop them in the chat and we'll address them, because I think that, there is chaos right now. And I think that, we're here to discuss it, and like, what is the chaos that's coming up for you in your life? And, what can we do to support you moving through the chaos? Because, really, chaos, while it may be there, it is also what you make of it. Do you choose it, or do you choose peace? So, this is part of the conversation today, and sometimes, I think another good way to find your way back to peace is to find something that like instills that feeling of peace for you. So like, JodieLynn, I know that you paint. And, I'm sure that sometimes that's peaceful, and sometimes you're like, oh gosh, that was not the color I wanted to put there. But, is there a hobby that you can pick up? Is there, going for a walk or being in nature, meditating? These are all the ones that I give out all the time, and everybody always rolls their eyes and like, oh, there she goes with the nature and the meditation. But really, I find tremendous peace.
Tremendous. If you're looking to shift your vibration very quickly, you're stuck in fear, literally take your shoes off. If you don't live in Canada, because we have snow right now, but if you live somewhere where you don't have snow, and I have an option for you if you have snow too, but take your shoes off, put your feet on the ground, on the grass, on whatever, not concrete, just on the natural ground, and breathe. Just take like 2 to 5 deep breaths and watch your whole system shift. Everything will change. If you've got snow on the ground and you can't do that, literally hug a tree. Hug a tree. They have beautiful, grounded, like this rooted, magical energy. I did it when I was in Rome for the first time. I hugged a tree when I was in Rome. Crazy, but it was a giant tree. It was very cool. Something else that really helps that I always tell people to do when you're feeling like you're having this anxiety attack, we'll call it, and you can't like catch your breath, you can't like calm yourself down, put your forehead on something hard and breathe. It's a yoga pose for a reason, but your desk will do. I cannot tell you the amount of times that when I used to work in my office and my assistant was there, she'd come around the corner and my head would be on the desk. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just coming back to myself. Just give me one moment. Like, you got to take the time to do it for yourself, because when you're not, when you're avoiding that pain or avoiding trying to calm yourself down or trying just to ignore it, you're ignoring that part of you. You're shutting down that part of you. And I always refer to it as like baby Jodie, like as if it was a real baby inside of me. Like, how would she want to, you know, be acknowledged? How would she feel if I just let her cry? I wouldn't do that to a baby. So why do we do that to ourselves? So really putting yourself first in that regard. I love that you said nature walks. I love nature. I'm always like, ooh, butterfly. Ooh, we went ice fishing last week. And I'm like, ooh, look at all the cracks in the ice and the little bubbles and the biggest fish I've ever seen in my entire life, like floated or swam by the hole and like right underneath me. And I was like, oh, I get really excited about those kinds of things because this is life. This is creation. You think about how magical it is for there to be 2 feet of ice and then water. And, you know, maybe that sounds stupid, but I think it's cool.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Like I have a very curious, like curiosity mindset, like a child. Like I want to see the world the way that they do because they see magic. When we see, oh, just a rainbow.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, again, it comes back to like perception, what it is that you are seeing in your experience.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think about when you first buy a car, okay, you're like, oh my gosh, I really want this Jeep. Okay. And you're like, this Jeep is going to be so cool. Can't wait to have this Jeep. You save up your money, you go, you buy the Jeep and you're like, woohoo, I got this cool Jeep. You're getting in it, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden, everywhere you look, you see Jeeps, 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 Jeeps. And you're like, where in the world do all these Jeeps come from? Like, I haven't seen any Jeeps. And then all of a sudden you buy a Jeep and now there's Jeeps everywhere. This is that perception, like mindset, right? Even when you were focused on getting a Jeep because you wanted one so badly, you didn't actually see it until you actually got one. And now you're seeing it everywhere. I want to ask a question from Kat here, and Jodie, I think you'd be perfect to answer it. But so Kat asked, what's your best advice on getting unstuck? I feel like sometimes it's easy to see the endless possibilities in limited thinking. When you believe both by now, when you believe both by no, you need to shift what you to do. What do you think? What do you think, Jodie? What does that question actually say?
I think she's asking, like, how do you shift when you know you need to do something, but you're not moving on it? And if that is incorrect, Kat, just drop a new question in there. But I'm actually going to talk about this. Like, what do you do when you're stuck? I'm making some changes to my webinar right now. And I was doing some channeling like on Friday, over the weekend, and yesterday, just really needling into the keys behind abundance. And one of the things that came forward for me, and so this is just raw, uncut, unfiltered explanation of what I'm working on right now, is I relate it to being stuck in the mud. Okay. Like if you had a vehicle and you were stuck in the mud, one thing that you can do is hit the gas, right? And that's what most people go to is I need to do more. But we have 3 areas that if you were to choreograph or understand and fully express all 3, it's like a triple thread. There's the do, like, and then there is the what we think, and then how we are being, meaning how we feel, the frequency we are when we're actually doing. So I would say if you're feeling stuck, and the strategy of do more is not working for you because it's ineffective, take a look at how you're thinking about those things, how you're thinking about what you need to do, how you need to do it. Is it effective? Is it whatever? Is there another belief system that is stopping you? I just had a session, kind of like an emergency session with one of my clients. And she was like, oh my God, I'm triggered right now with money and like these things are happening and whatever. And breathe, acknowledge, calm the system. Okay, this is what's happening. And it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with this being uncertain right now at this time with where her career is at. And because she is uncertain, she felt like she would be doing something wrong or bad if she was to take on any clients. But I was showing her the two sides of this because I said, if somebody came to you and said, I really need your help, will you help me? She said, of course I would help them. Why? And then it was apparent that there was this perception here that if she's, doing it, that it means she's bad and, aggressive or, duping them or pulling the wool over their eyes. There's all of these things that were coming through versus if somebody was coming to her and asking her for help, she could help them. But seeing that when you're acting from your heart, that's what you're doing, this side of things. When you're acting from your heart, when you're doing things for the greater good, for example, when you're doing things from a soul capacity, your heart capacity, you're doing something good. Okay. And it had nothing to do with money, but she was just stuck and cut herself off. So take a look at the way that you're thinking about the scenario, thinking about the things that you should or shouldn't be doing. And then on the B side of things, how you actually execute them. I don't force myself to do things anymore. I have a to-do list, but I never do anything for money. I'll pay you to do this. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't do things because of money. I do things because of joy, and the money follows. So when I'm looking at the things that I am doing, I'm asking myself, how can I infuse more joy? How can I infuse more bliss? And sometimes it's not right now. Like, I need to sit on the couch and relax and veg and whatever, take that time that I need. And then I feel it. And then I have like 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row that are like, boom, boom, boom. And I get a crazy amount of stuff done. And then I go back to, I need to relax, or I'm working with myself, not only my cycle as a woman, but how I show up in the world as a human being and how I'm feeling with everything that is going on in our world today. I'm constantly reflecting naturally on how I feel and what would make me, what would feel more joyous or blissful to me. So when you're stuck, I'd focus on those 3 areas: triple threat, what you're doing, what you're thinking, and how you are being while you do the things. Does that make sense?
That's amazing. I'm sure that captured what Kat was actually asking. Like, that's amazing. One of the things that I want to like focus in on what you were just saying is the power of rest. So, one of the things that you use to, so many people like to grind, right? And it's like the old hustle of like, hustle and grind, get it done. You got to work 80 bazillion hours a week for yourself, so you don't have to work 40 for someone else or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality is that some of my most interesting things, concepts, ideas, channeled information comes to me when I am literally being a potato. Like, the more potato I am, the more like inspired thoughts come along. Yeah. And, I think that's why so many people get like huge downloads in the shower. You're in there, you're washing your hair, washing your body, doing all the things. And it's kind of like this mindless activity, right? You're not having to think about it because you've done it on autopilot for however many years you've been doing it, right? And so, your body's busy doing its thing. And so your mind and your space is actually open to receive information. And so, but this is a restful time. Most people who get into the shower, they get in there and they're like, washing off the day, or I'm preparing for the day. It just depends on when you're doing it. But like, you're in this space of like openness and like relaxation. And like, even though your body is going through the motions to get you through the shower, you are having a time that's just for you. It's just your time. I'm sure that all of the mamas that are watching right now are like, oh my God, my shower is my sanctuary because it's the only place I can escape my kids, but the point being that, there is a lot of power in rest,
Mhm.
and taking that time to like nurture yourself and be a potato.
Mhm.
Like potato is restorative. It is a grounding vegetable. You should be one. you know?
Yeah, it's so true. And potatoes are conduits. I don't know if you in high school, you did the potato test with electricity,
Right.
right?
Right.
So maybe that's
Yep.
why when you're a potato, you're receiving because the channel is open.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We think that we have to do. I even came up against this last week. I had a really busy Monday. I hate using the word busy. I usually use the word full. Tuesday was quite full. And then I had all of these things that I was really excited to work on and whatever. And hubby and I have been trying to go fishing for a while now, but the temperature and all of these things haven't really worked out. And he's like, let's go this week. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Okay, Thursday, we're gonna go Thursday. And I looked at my schedule, and for a moment I was like, I'm not going to get any work done. I have this stuff on Wednesday, so I can't do the things that I want to, and then I can't do that. And it was ultimately this limit that I had placed on myself of what my schedule has to look like. And so at that opportunity, I noticed that, and I could say, oh, okay, this is a perception that I have to work 5 days a week. Is that really true? No, no. I can work whenever I want because I own my own business. I can do whatever I want. And then really noodling into like, what is the limitations here? Oh, if I'm not working, if I don't get this done right away, then I'm going to delay this and that. And it's acknowledging those things that are stuck in the back of your head. So I acknowledge all of them. Like, is that really true that if I don't do it on Thursday because I went to play, that I'm never going to get anything done and I'm going to be a huge loser and everything's going to collapse? No, but that's how your brain works, right? Just the nth extreme. So then I could deal with that. And then I could be present when we went fishing for the day and I could take the day off. And like you said, when you're showering, you get these downloads. I had so much come through when I was playing in the snow and watching the fish and looking at the ice because I was open and available to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeds the soul.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So coming back to the, like finding peace within the chaos, these are great examples of ways to find peace. Do something that lights you up, that's fun. Put a pin in the chaos for right now. Yep. Just set it aside. No, it's there. It's still going to be there, when you get done doing what you're doing. But, in the moment that you're having that chaotic experience, does it relate to you immediately right now? Like, is there fear for your life right now? Yeah. And if there's not, set it aside, do something fun, reconnect with nature, meditate, breathe, do all of the things to bring yourself back to, okay, the sky isn't falling, we can do this. Like we can get there. And
I think that reminder too to your brain that there is enough time, that there's enough time to get it sorted. There is enough time for things to be figured out. There is enough. You are supported, all of these things. And I like to find reminders of those things. Like, remember when you had like this crazy intense week full of downloads and you wrote an entire book? Yeah, that happened. Oh yeah. I get stuff done fast when when I have the support of like my guides and I'm really following those creative juices, really following my passion and following my joy. And I give myself that space to rest. So when that little monster comes up, right, the doubting Debbie or whatever it is in my mind that rears her ugly head when I'm, taking a nap or laying on the couch or something on a random Tuesday. I remind myself of that. It's okay because this is a part of the equation. There's enough time.
Definitely.
Yes. What a beautiful conversation we're having. So good.
I think, one of the things that I found really interesting when we were thinking about this topic, or when I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking about, I've been doing some stuff in human design. And that's something that's been kind of, I feel like, tossed around a lot, like in the spiritual community. A lot of people, they know what their human design is. If you don't know what it is, look it up. You can just Google human design, and it'll pull up for you. I think Jovian Archive is one of the places you can go to get that. But as a projector, right, which is what I am, rest is a huge piece for me. I had no idea that it was such a huge piece for me. So, learning about like your human design too will also help you to navigate and like know how you can, shift and move as the energy shifts and moves, what types of things affect you, on a different level. Like, how does it affect you, and how does it affect you on that particular level? My human design says that between every single client, between every single meeting, between every single thing that I do, I should literally take a 10-minute nap. Like, that is something that my human design calls for.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I can't.
You really have to get your brain behind that one, not to have, an anxiety bursted or filled outbreak.
But what's really interesting is, we interviewed Natalie Granja last week, and she's also a projector, and she does do that. Between every client, she takes like a 10-minute nap. And the thing that's really fascinating is she's super high functioning, successful, gets a lot done, has a great business. And I look at that and I go, maybe I can learn something from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think watching how other people do things that are breaking outside of the box is fascinating, because it really proves that anything is possible, and that, what you thought you had to do is not necessarily an absolute truth. I love that. I've started learning about, I love human design, and I started to look at the moon cycles, because somebody brought it up in our chat. I think it was Lauren brought it up in our chat on one of our lives. And it got me really curious. Like, I wonder where the moon was at when I was born. And it was a new moon. And all of my houses are Cancer, whatever, right? But it's so interesting. So I start reading up on it, and they're like, you're going to have the most energy when it's a waning and waxing crescent and the new moon. And that's exactly what it is. I think today at 10:30 is the new moon. And I felt like last couple of days, just like boom, 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 like so much energy to get things done. But 2 weeks ago, or at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh God, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. So I've started to piece some of those other things together. There's lots of support on why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. It might not just be you. It might be the cosmos that we're in, the time we're in. Yeah,
exactly. And and that's another great way to help you find peace, right? Like, why am I feeling this way? Start looking, start investigating, get your chart done, start looking into, what does it mean when this planet is in this house and it's this degrees? What does it mean that, I was born on a full moon, no moon, upside down moon, blue moon, yellow moon, whatever, right? Like, look into all of that and start learning about yourself, and you'll actually start seeing that, gosh, every full moon, I'm like, wow, the moon is so beautiful, but I feel so like lazy bones. I'm always a potato at the full moon. I don't know why. Well, I do now, because I too was born on a new moon. And so now it's funny, because like this week is a really full week for me. Like, it is jam packed. I have zero downtime this week. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm like, whoa, let's go. I just have a lot of energy, and I'm like ready to do the thing. Right. But, I never really like associated that or even figured that out, until chaos hit. And then I was like, oh, I need to learn some things about myself, because this is triggering me. Why?
Even the pandemic, when we went to working from home, it really gave me a moment. I took that entire summer pretty much off. I was doing research and whatever, I'm downloading the course that I have, I played a lot. We moved out to the farm, but it really gave me the ability to ask the question, what do I want? What do I like? How do I operate? And that's it's an ever changing, flowing thing, because we're not trees, we are humans. So we're constantly evolving. So that has changed even from 2020 to 2021 to, I'm sure summer of 2022 is going to be different. I was thinking about that like couple weeks ago. What do I want for the summer? Like, it would be nice to work 4 hours a day and, only 4 days a week. Yeah. Like, what do I want my experience to be? And really, why do I do things the way that I do them? Is it beneficial for me? Is it going towards the desires that I have, the creation of life that I'm bringing forth today? Or is it actually limiting me?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
So good. I think we could talk all day on this topic.
I think so too. We could, but we've only got 5 more minutes left. So if you guys have a question and put it in the chat. And if you're enjoying this conversation, hit the like button. Make sure that you are subscribed, because we want more people to be a part of this amazing community that comes together and supports one another. So click that like button. It looks like this, and you just have to click it. That's it. Just click.
That's funny. And don't forget to subscribe. I mean, I'm sure that all of you that are here right now are subscribed, because I can't imagine you not being subscribed to a channel that you come to every Tuesday at 1:00 Pacific.
Every week.
Yeah, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. It's, we're trying to get the word out that we're here. We want to help support our community, bring more people to the community. There's, many hands make light work, and we're all here as light workers in one of the greatest shifts the earth has ever seen. And, if we can all join together, it will be light work. So let's do it. Do it.
Thank you to all the people that hit the like button.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Everyone just hit it right now.
It's so good. Amazing. Well, any final thoughts on the peace within the chaos? How to achieve peace within the chaos?
Just remember that every chaotic event that you have encountered in your life, you moved through with ease and grace, and you're here now. So even when you find yourself in the chaos and you find yourself in the moment of despair and discouraged and whatever else you're feeling, just know you've been here before, you've experienced this before, and you came through it just fine. So take a deep breath and keep going.
And you're not alone.
And you're not alone.
We are right here with you. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for being a part of this live episode. We will be back next Tuesday at 1 Pacific. And we have an amazing topic for you guys: how to come out of the spiritual closet. We are going down that rabbit hole. We're going to talk about being seen, letting go of the fear of being seen. So make sure that you put it in your schedule to tune in next Tuesday. We will be here then, and we want to send you so much love. Until next time.
Yay! Bye, everybody.